Hey there crew, it's Mark from MENWHOBULLET. Thanks for hanging out with me today as we set up our weekly plan with me. As always, excited to kick off the week. I love thinking of some new ideas to include and of course, using some new stationery. The past few weeks have been filled with stationery goodness, and I'm really excited to be including more of those in my weeklies as well. If you're brand new here, we break this video up into two parts. The first half of this is going to be a minimalist approach. I'll show you basic layout, spacing, how we're going to set this up, and how you can include things like lettering, all using a single pen if you want to. And then at the end of this video, we have the twist, and that's where we start to add in some other things. This week, I'm excited to include more things from Eric Small Things. We have some stamps on the way, and also working with some watercolor today later on. But first, let's get into what you're going to need to set up the minimalist part of today's video. So the first thing that we're going to include is always going to be a pencil. I feel like I say that all the time. This week though, excited to be using fancy pencils. These are from Appointed, one of my favorite DC stationery shops. And I'm so excited because I just became a brand ambassador along with them. And along with that amazing ambassadorship comes a special discount code. So whether it's their notebooks, their accessories, and some other things too, you can check them out online at appointed.co and you can use my discount code, which is MENWHOBULLET, and you can now save 15% off of your purchases through them. So we've got ourselves a pencil. I'm also excited this week to be including one of the items from the recent Archer and Olive subscription boxes. This is the wooden ruler that came as a part of this, and I'm really excited for this one because it is set up in centimeters, and because the dot grids inside of the Archer and Olive notebooks are millimeters, you can kind of count out your spacing now using millimeters. I'm still going to use squares. I think it's a lot easier, especially if you're not inside of an Archer and Olive, but why not use something new that we have? And then this week, just add a little bit of pops of color into this weekly spread. You could also just use a regular black pen if you want to, but this is the Pit Artist pen from Faber-Castell. I don't know how to say this name. I want to say it's like Sanjuine, but just a little bit of a different color for me. Well, I'm feeling fancy. So let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to be setting up this weekly inside of our bullet journal. It's kind of the fun of what we're doing with that minimalist layout here. Now, last week, we used some ink and we had a little bit of bleed through. It's okay. I think I dropped a little bit of water on here throughout the week and I got a little bit there, but we're going to be okay with that. It's not the worst thing in the entire world. And actually, we're going to be kind of drawing over it a little bit with some lettering today. What I'm looking at doing this week is going to be another section over here for reflection. I've been including that a lot over the past few weeks. We'll be adding some fun things over here in the twist today. I also am going to be using the center of my page here for 6 spaces, Monday through Saturday and Sunday. The split will be here. And then a running list of tasks over here. I have a ton of stuff that I have to get to this week that are leftovers from last week's short week. So we'll go ahead and get into that. So this is how I'm going to be setting up this week. All right, so I've already worked ahead a little bit to expedite this part of the process for us, but I'm using my grid spacing cheat sheet here to essentially set up what we're doing. So what I didn't do is fill in what we're doing with these spaces here. Hello, ring light. Over here, we're going to be going 10 spaces over from the left-hand side, leaving 2 spaces here in between, and having 20 squares across here. Now, again, this is going to be in a B5 size notebook, so your spacing might look a little bit different if you're inside of an A5, but you can break this up in a similar way. This section over here is going to be for reflection. This is just taking a look at this past week. So much stuff went on, especially with going camping and getting ready for some big workshops this week at work and some other fun things that are going on. This will be our days of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we'll do a Saturday and a Sunday split here. And then this section over here will be all about tasks. We're just reflecting the same spacing that we had over on this side, over on the right-hand side for this double page spread. So hopefully it's not too overwhelming for us, and hopefully it'll be really easy and quick to set up. That's what this is all about. So let's go ahead and start drawing out our page. So what we'll be doing is just marking out our spaces with pencils first, drawing out some of these main lines, and then what I'll do is go over them with our Pit Artist pen here to add that color. I'm also going to be doing some lettering this week. I have a really fun like tattoo looking lettering that I've done before that I want to include, and then we'll move into the twist. I've already marked out everything with my pencil here, so really what I'm going to be doing now is just going through and just connecting a lot of my lines that I have. I do this just to make sure that I don't mess up with my marker when I come in with it. It's just a habit that I've gotten into inside of my bullet journal. It's nothing more than just being prepared. If you feel super confident in your lines, like this one for instance, I'm already making mistakes, then I say go for it with a pen, but I'm just not super confident with my lines. I'm always pulling too far down my page when I'm setting these up, and I'm just never a happy camper. I'm not going to draw out the horizontal lines here, but I am going to be adding them in when I go with my marker. Those I don't usually mess up on because it's pretty straightforward. Since I have my verticals in here, I'll just go into using my marker now and filling in the rest of these boxes. All right, now that we have all that laid inside of here, we can go in with our eraser and just erase any little straggly extra pencil lines that I have around here. There should only be a few of them as I only marked out parts of the page. The ruler worked pretty good from Archer and all of it being wood. The only thing I didn't love is that I can't see through it. I'm so used to using it transparent, so I had to kind of work my way around this. But as I mentioned, everything is inside of centimeters and millimeters. So every 5 millimeters, which is what the dot grids are inside of the Archer and Olive notebooks, you'll see is a square. So if we wanted to go all the way across here, we could be like, okay, 50 millimeters for this, but that's too much. I just like saying, oh, that's 20 squares, essentially is what that ends up being. I'm not a big fan of math. I like easy math, so it's easier for me to be like, hey, 20 squares, and you can easily count that. Now, something else that I added here was a little bit of a box. I didn't talk about this in planning it because depending on how you want to go about it, you could set this up differently. But I left 3 squares vertically here, and that's where I'm going to be putting in the date as well as the lettering as well for each of the days of the week. I'm also going to be creating a header over here for tasks, and then over here on the left hand side I'm actually going to leave this open for reflection, but you could certainly title this reflection. I'm going to be adding some things over here in the twist, so I'll add them in later for you. So let's go ahead and add in our cool looking font. So you can either use an ink pen for this if you want, you can use your Pit Artist pen if you want for it as well. And the way that I'm going to be setting this up and doing this is a fun little font that I created not that long ago. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's ever used this. If you're interested in picking this up, I actually have a freebie for you. I'll put that in the descriptions for you below, and you can download the whole entire alphabet if you want to. So the way that this font works is pretty easy, at least I think it is. What we're going to do is we are going to draw out our letters. So let's just do, we're going to do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but MONTUEWED. And here's how those look. So Monday is going to be like an elongated M, like a really wide angles here. So it's going to actually go across like 2 of these spaces in just a line. And then what we're going to do is over on the right hand side, we're going to draw out a little bit of a box like that. And then what we're going to do after we draw that is we're going to add little serifs in here, which are just the lines that are coming out of the bottom. And then we're also going to add one that's going to go across the center here, and one that's going to go across the center here. And then we're going to fill in this bottom part. So if you want, you could just do the letters of the days of the week if you don't want to spend too much time doing any type of lettering inside of here, but I'm just going to do the whole words and you can watch. If you choose to, you don't have to go into that in-depth of lettering, but I want to have a little bit of fun with my weekly as we went into this. So if you just want to write out the days of the week or anything like that, you do you. Last thing we're going to do over here is just write out tasks, because that's where all of my tasks are going to go for this week, along with any notes that I have inside of here. I'm not going to spend as much time as I did inside of here, so I'm just going to use one of my favorite fonts, which is just doing a uppercase and a lowercase all caps letter. Now that we've added in the title over here, you could certainly add other titles if you need here as well. If you're not interested in doing a weekend, you could certainly also use this for extra notes, trackers, and things like that as well. So this is going to be the minimalist approach that we have for this week. So if you don't want to add anything else in here, you're good here. If you're looking for a little extra fun, we're going to move into the twist next, and we'll talk about all the goodies that we'll be using inside of there.
How many little stamps are you gonna do?
Super excited this week as we move into the twist. We're gonna be adding some little extra pieces, nothing too overwhelming this week, but excited to get some extra things in here. First and foremost, I have a brand new stamp that I got from Eric Small Things. This is part of my recent unboxing and haul that I did from Cute Things from Japan. So I'm going to be using a little coffee shop over here this week. That's just going to sit over here in the corner as some fun decoration. I also am going to be using this little stamp here to cassette, just enjoy music. This past week we went and saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so I want to just write a little bit about that as just a small little memory keeping from this past week. We'll be using that over on this side. And then I also have one of these small little papers. This actually came from a previous collaboration with Eric Small Things and Cute Things from Japan. They have these little Post-it notes, I guess I would call them. They're not sticky notes, they're just pieces of paper. So I'm actually going to be putting that over here and just capturing some real quick memory keeping from this past weekend when we went camping. To adhere that over there, I'm going to be using this Tombow Mono double-sided tape. Everyone told me to use this instead of some other stuff that I had, so I listened to them. And then I also got this from a recent Desk Gems purchase, which is super neat. You pop this in here, and it rounds out your corners, which is really nice. So I'm going to be using this real quick. We'll be cutting this over here on this side to fit this over here, and then getting started with everything. And then the last little bit we're going to do is have a little bit of fun with some watercolors. So after we stamp this down and let it dry for a minute, I'm going to be using some of these really nice colors. This was part of the Wildwood collection for Peppercon Arts. I love her watercolors so much. I have a lot of other unboxing videos you can see, especially from this one too. If you love these colors and other things from her, you can check her out at pepperconarts.com. And we're going to have some fun with these and just add a little bit of extra pops of color. It's weird for me to be doing color, but I really like the way that it's looking. So let's go ahead and stamp these down. Let's get this piece of paper cut and adhered to the page, and then we'll be finishing everything out as a part of the twist. For the ink this week, we're going to be using VersaFine ink. I'm a real big fan of VersaFine ink. This is in the Onyx Black. I love this because it's fantastic. You can also use watercolors on top of it. So it is water resistant after it dries. So I'm a big fan versus other inks that do not do that. Get a real good stamp on there, and let's add this to our page. Yay! And then let's go ahead and add our little music one over here to this corner. The Chili Peppers concert was amazing. We've seen them a few times, my wife and I have, so it was great to see them again. Just such great music and so much fun. So excited to just jot a little bit down about that. Let's go ahead and cut this as well. I'm just going to grab a pair of scissors real quick. It's these fun little slice ones. And all I'm doing over here is just adhering this here. So I want to kind of see where it is. So it's actually like right about where the telescope is. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to fold it over so I give myself a line. And let's go ahead and just snip this off real quick. There we go. Not a perfect straight line, but it is what it is. We're going to put that right there. Use our double-sided tape. I always forget which side I'm supposed to use. Well, both sides work, but I think it's this one. Oh, there we go. It clicks when it's ready to go. Done and done. Perfect. Nice and easy. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to have this go off the page a little bit. So I could have probably kept it a little bit longer over there. I should have thought about that first, but I don't know. I like when it kind of goes off the page like that. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Just leave that open like that. And I'm just going to put a little title over here for this camping trip 2022. I'll add in my journaling a little bit later. That is private. And I'll also be adding some things down here as well for the concert, just adding a handful of memory notes there. We'll leave the task open here. Obviously, as I get into the week, I'm going to need space for that. And then we'll have a little coffee guy down here. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of color to the page. I think that should be fun. For the little coffee shop, the reason I'm going with this Wildwood collection, it just has a very like warm feel to it. I don't want to add anything too overwhelming. I'm also, you know, not the best when it comes to like color choosing. So I want to keep it like soft and subtle. I'm just going to grab myself just a real fine brush. I have my water for my watercolor. So for the coffee shop, I wanted to do something that's just like not too bad. I feel like the burnt sienna is a good one. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to the top of this little dot. I also have a lot of these colors as a full palette, but this one was easily able to be grabbed and added, and then just add a little bit of watercolor. What I love doing about adding watercolor to pages is I don't have to do a full painting. The stamp is already here. I just have to kind of fill it in a little bit and go from there. And I'm totally okay with that. And I feel like it still makes it look fun. It can still bleed outside the lines a little bit. That's totally okay. All right, I love how that's looking. I'm very proud of myself for not going too overboard, but having like just enough. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're looking for more videos to inspire you, you can check out my entire collection. We are like 23 episodes deep into our weekly Plan With Me series, so you can check out the rest of that playlist here. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your week. See ya.